Well, it was, we were pretty pleased to win. We came here to try and win the game, so that was our number one focus. And really then I wanted to ask the players for some feedback on second half, really why they got so much momentum and things like that. So we've had a brief chat about that without going into too much detail.
Well, just generally, why did they feel that it was?
There was a couple of things that where they felt they weren't really switched on. So whether they'd just dropped away from the intensity they'd showed in the first half because they had a lead, that's probably something they will address with each other.
So maybe mental and structural rather than physical fatigue, was it?
Yes.
What about yourself from the box, John? What did you notice changed that led?
Well, it became a lot more of a one-on-one game. The Bulldogs just made sure it was man-on-man all over the field, and that changed. They had that mindset. Our players didn't really react that well to it throughout that period.
Do you have things in place for that, John?
Yeah, we do.
You don't see it much anymore.
No, I know. I think everyone was in shock. Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, there's things, and one-on-one football would be happy to take teams on like that as well. But they tackled harder and were prepared to get in and win the loose ball.
Obviously, there will be people saying that you still being in the mix for the top four is giving you something to play for. But the last two teams you played also had a fair bit to play for. It must make it a little bit more satisfying, imagine. Because those two teams have really thrown it at you the last couple.
Absolutely, yeah, they have, and we don't really treat any of our opponents as though they've got more or less to play for. But that's obvious that both those teams would have still had an eye on different positions, higher positions on the ladder. So we don't ever expect that we're going to get any games handed to us. We've still, and said it all year, we still know where we're at. To let the Bulldogs get on top and dominate the second half like they did on the scoreboard means there's a massive amount for us to learn from that.
Does it give you some satisfaction to know that your boys have matured to a point that they can beat those teams?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, that's another part of showing where they're at, and even getting behind and making sure they just kept grinding away and doing enough to grab the win. All that is good. And then it's a matter of how much better do we need to be, and we're well and truly aware of that, and we've talked about that.
Are you satisfied there was no letdown as such after last week's start?
Well, again, we came focused on playing with the intensity that we've shown throughout this year, and we certainly did that in the first maybe 2 and a bit quarters, and then the last 15 minutes of the game, I think. But there's a period in between where we were a little bit reactionary.
The past month has been pretty tough. They've been pretty tough games for the team.
Yeah, massive.
What sort of impact do you think that had in allowing the Bulldogs back into the game?
Yeah, you can never really measure that. We'd be confident that we're rotating our players enough and getting our workloads during the week right. So no, I wouldn't say that's done any more. But obviously Nat Nui and Kennedy out is a couple of big changes to our team. So to step up for the guys without those two guys in was a real credit to them as well.
Scotty Lycett, what did you make of him?
Yeah,
first goal in 45 seconds, I think.
Yeah, he gave what we expected he would be able to give today, and maybe more. We knew he could take a mark up there, which he did, and kick a goal, and didn't know he'd crumb one like he did. That was probably the bonus. But we were really pleased with what he did and what he offered with Dean in the ruck.
Can you just talk about John? Can you just before you go, how did he pull up? Did he look sore at the end?
No, it's fine. Yep.
Can you just talk about
pretty
Dan
pumped
Cox
actually.
And,
Coxie, yeah.
What sort of player is he that was to stand up when the game was on the line?
Yeah, no, it was enormous last 5 or 10 minutes what he did, but he wasn't alone. Prentice, I thought, the stoppages when it was really on the line was great, and McGinnity, some of his work late in the game there that created. So it wasn't just about Dean Cox, but certainly a couple of his efforts were outstanding and what we expect, and it's credit to him. He's working really hard.
Have you seen him play better? He's obviously good in your premiership.
Yeah, well, when he's at his absolute best, he would have kicked that other sitter that he missed. He's a good kick for goal, and he did miss an easy goal for us that we want to be better at. And it's an area that we'll look at the game and say our set shots for goal should have been better, and therefore maybe given us a better scoreline.
Just noticed he had his foot iced up in the reins there. Is he injured himself to that?
No, he's fine.
What about the rest of the squad? Did make a try and skate?
Yeah, good. Yeah.
What were the issues with Schofield during the early part of the games?
He got just a knock, so it winded him. Yeah, so he was just short of breath for a while. So we just increased his rotations a bit.
Given where you've come from last year, obviously all the talk has had to be about improvements and all that sort
Yep.
of thing. But given where you sit right now with only a few rounds to go, would it be a disappointment not to make the top four, given the platform set?
I'm really looking forward to next week. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the challenges of playing next week. So, what comes in whatever number of weeks' time that is, who knows? You know, we'll wait and see. But there's no use in this game worrying too much about possibilities because things move too quickly and change too quickly.
We are going to make the finals now, so how important is it, even though it's not at the MCG, but how important is it to come to Melbourne and secure your second win here of the year?
Yeah, well, that's it's obviously great. It's part of us improving, and that's where what we talk about, winning and playing more consistently at home and on the road. Regardless of where other teams are situated and what they're playing for, where our focus is on coming out and playing our style of footy at the same intensity we want to play. So they're the things that we're really focused on at the moment, and still knowing that this year is part of our big picture of becoming an awesome team, and we'll keep working hard to capitalise on whatever this year throws up to us. But we know we've got a long way to go.
Do you expect to get Nat Nelly and Kennedy back?
Yeah, Kennedy will really depend on doctor's orders, I think. And Nat Nui would be a good chance. So we'll see how he goes during the week. So, Nick's one that potentially could have played, but will be a lot better with the rest.
Could be some safety goggles or ban on tennis balls or something like that?
Well, no, I think that there was nothing going on that hasn't gone on for 10 years around the place. So, yeah, just a freak accident.
Dean, then are you a big game after owing up to the try?
He might have been thinking about that late. I don't know. That may have crossed his mind. Yeah.
The win today really puts your top four prospects back in your own hands. How important is that?
Well, it's not important. It's just a fact. I think making the finals, top four, whatever is in your hands. So the work we've done up till this point has been really outstanding by the players. And but that's done and dusted now. That gives us nothing. What's ahead for us is what's exciting, and it starts next week.
Bush Sellers hasn't sought out much adulation as an individual over the years, but
no.
Can you say a little bit about his contribution to the club?
Yeah, well, he's now a life member and a premiership player, so he joins that pretty elite group of players and some wonderful names in the history of the West Coast Eagles Football Club. So that pretty much says it for itself. But he's a very selfless player, a real team player, and a real courageous player.
Where is he in his career? Obviously, he's taken a fair battering over the years.
Yeah, he has.
Where do you see he's at?
Yeah, nothing's rattling inside his head yet, I don't think. So I think he thinks he's got a fair bit left.
Is it probably his midfield days look reasonably over though? You look like you're giving him these roles now. Is that fair to assume?
Yeah, I think we've got some really young, exciting midfielders coming through, and he's aware that he can play other roles for us. And he's played a couple of games through the midfield this year, and he still may with roles. And it's great to have a versatile player like that.
You must be delighted to get that sort of contribution from a first-year player in Andrew Gaff. How have you seen his development over the course?
Yeah, no, well, he's a very exciting young player. And we're pretty pleased with the way, the way he's developed throughout the year. For him to be playing like he's a real fresh player right now is great for us. And I think I'm pretty confident he's feeling really fresh. He missed a few games in the mid part of the year. He had limited game time in his first 6 weeks or so, which means he's not starting to fatigue or tire now, and that's a nice position for him to be in.
Was that part of the plan with the I think it was a sub for a fair period there? Was that part of the plan, just keep him fresh?
Yeah, not so much. At the start of the year, it was nothing about keeping him fresh for post home and away, because that wasn't really in our picture at that stage. So it was about his development as a young player. He was fairly light at the start of the season. He's developed a fair bit throughout the year, and it was a timing thing for us, and we had a bit of a plan.
Can I just clarify, Bo Woods is reported to be a bit ginger in his elbow?
Yeah, he fell on his elbow in the first quarter, so he was pretty sore. But he was right to play on. He put his hand up and said, I can keep going, but we elected to give him a rest.